with a matchup between AL Central rivals. We send you to Detroit, where the surging Tigers play host to the Chicago White Sox.
Paul Konerko, Adam Dunn, and the rest of the White Sox trying to hang on to their narrow lead in the American League Central because Miguel Cabrera, Pence fielder, and the Tigers have their sights set on first place today. It's Fox Saturday Baseball, and it's a gorgeous summer Saturday in the Motor City. We welcome you to Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, a half game separating these top two teams in the American League Central. And hi again, everybody. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Baseball on Fox. The White Sox were the first team to make the big run in the American League Central. That began at the end of May. But make no mistake, right now, the hottest team in the league, the Detroit Tigers, winners of 11 of their last 13. And Eric Caro, so much was made about bringing in Prince Fielder to join Miguel Cabrera in this Tiger lineup. And, man, are they living up to all the hype.
Well, they really are. I mean, this month of July, both of these two have been red hot. And you're talking about probably, for me, the best 3-4 combination in all of baseball. And what's this led to? 12 wins so far this month. No team in the major leagues has more wins than these Detroit Tigers. Now, they're not going to have an easy day today because they go against all-star starter Chris Sale. Now, he didn't start the All-Star game, but this is a guy that is a converted reliever and has been dynamite for the White Sox all year long. He looks to get the White Sox on the winning track today.
Speaking of White Sox reliever, today they have made the first big move in baseball, acquiring Houston closer Brett Myers. We'll talk more about that throughout the rest of the afternoon. But the White Sox trying to hang on to first in the Central. Tigers trying to get there with a win here today. Baseball next on Fox. In downtown Detroit, Michigan, area cloud in the sky, very low humidity and temperature right at 84 degrees. White Sox losers in the opener here last night. Their starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. De Aza In center, Kevin Youkilis. At third base with Adam Dunn, the DH. Konerko at first. Alex Rios in right. A.J. Brzezinski behind the plate. Dayan Viciedo is in left field. Alexi Ramirez is shortstop. And Gordon Beckham batting ninth and playing second base. Our opening pitch today brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Rick Porcello in his fourth season with the Tigers, still so young at 23 and all the promise. But some feel like this is a big year for him as far as his long-term future with Detroit.
Well, he's got to really establish himself. He doesn't need to be the number 2 guy, but he's got to be a solid 3 or 4. And for him to be effective, he's got to throw that power sinker, induce a lot of ground balls. And today, very important, is to keep those Chicago White Sox base runners close. There's been a lot of success against him in stealing bases.
Let's take a look at the Tigers defensively. A number of changes today. They won't go with Quentin Perry in left. It'll be Ryan Rayburn out there. Danny Worth getting to start at second base. That's been a revolving door all year long. And a battery today of Porcello and Gerald Laird with a day game following the night game won last night by the dominant, per usual, pitching of Justin Verlander. White Sox have lost 3 consecutive games, 5 of their last 7, and they had pretty been on a good run going all the way back to midway when they went from 4.5 games back into first in the Central. First pitch from Porcello to De Aza's strike, and this one underway. Alejandro De Aza, 280 batter, 6 home runs and 37 runs batted in, has 15 stolen bases. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Porcello, too, does not miss a lot of bats, so this defense is going to have to be ready. In fact, opponents are hitting at a 320 clip against the big right-hander.
On the ground to the right side, gobbled up by Prince Fielder, and De Aza set down to begin the game. After so many outstanding seasons playing for the Boston Red Sox, Kevin Youkilis came over in a trade nearly 3 weeks ago in exchange for Brent Lillibridge and Zach Stewart. And boy, has he made an immediate impact on this Chicago lineup. 20 games, 4 home runs, 18 runs batted in. 5 of those RBIs have been game winners. One ball and 1 strike.
Well, and you talk about all the things that you can quantify. We talked to Paul Konerko, the team captain of this White Sox ball club, beforehand, and he was just gushing about how good Youkilis is in the clubhouse and doing some of the intangible things at the plate.
Of course, big news earlier this week when Kevin Youkilis returned to Boston to face the only club with which he'd ever played. Standing ovation for Youkilis. Always a fan favorite. He was very excited about going back there. Had an encounter early in the season, of course, with Bobby Valentine. Some of that was dredged up again. And he hit a 3-run home run. His 6th game-winning RBI with the White Sox. He looks at strike 3 here, 2 out in the inning.
You see Gerald Laird setting up outside, and that is that power sinker that we're talking about. It comes back over the plate and dives down. Very tough for a right-handed hitter to stay on that pitch if Porcello starts it outside.
So now Adam Dunn. What a turnaround from a season ago after signing the big deal with the White Sox, and that's a liner right at the third baseman. That's Miguel Cabrera with a big defensive shift. A good start for Porcello. Here come the Tigers when we return. And here's the lineup he'll be facing for the Tigers, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Austin Jackson, Ryan Rayburn, Miguel Cabrera to start it. Prince Fielder in a cleanup spot. Delvin Young, the DH. Johnny Peralta at short. Brennan Bosch in right. Gerald Laird catching, and Danny Worth at second. What a spectacular year it has been for Sale. His first full year as a starter.
Yeah, he's been dominant for him. I mean, he's really the ace of this staff, and he's going to have to continue to be that ace this second half of the season. For him to be effective, pitch around Prince. That doesn't mean don't go after Prince. Keep the guys in front of Prince Fielder off the bases.
A rocket off the bat of Austin Jackson right into the glove of Youkilis. One pitch and one very loud out.
What I like there about Youkilis is you watch him. See, he's moving before the ball is hit. And what that does as a fielder, it allows you to be more active. If you're just sitting there stone-footed, you don't get a good jump. That's a nice play by Youkilis.
Ryan Rayburn getting to start out in left field here today in place of Quentin Berry. What a great story Berry has been for the Tigers. Number of different organizations. In his minor league career, really never much of a big offensive threat. Finally gets a chance to come up to the big leagues with Detroit after they signed him as a minor league player during the offseason. Took over for Austin Jackson out there in center. Now he's playing just about every day in left, although not today.
Yeah, not today because he's a left-handed hitter, and Sale is just torturous against those type of guys. Also, Berry leads this Detroit team in stolen bases. 14 has yet to be caught.
So Berry going to just sit back and watch today. He is a tough customer. Talking about the left-hander Sale, and there's a swing and a miss. Two gone here in the Detroit first inning.
Well, Sale doesn't discriminate. What I mean by that, he's equally tough against right-handed hitters as well. There's that slider. Rayburn having an awfully tough year.
The amazing Miguel Cabrera. The numbers year in and year out are simply mind-boggling. Made the conversion, of course, from first base over to third base this year with the arrival of Prince Fielder. All of that coming on the heels of a devastating knee injury to Victor Martinez. But I think it says a lot about Cabrera, the player, the fact that you've had this great career. I mean, he's well on his way to becoming a Hall of Famer. And yet, in his late 20s, not afraid to say, hey, look, I'll do whatever the team wants me to do.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, an established star. I mean, there's a lot of people that coming into this year, would you take Pujols or would you take Cabrera? I mean, those two are the top two or three in any conversation. But remember, Miguel Cabrera came up as a third baseman for the Florida Marlins. And that's where he first made his mark. So it's not as if he's going to a completely foreign spot. But he is a much bigger man now.
Look at that, 8 consecutive years, 25 or more home runs, 100 or more runs batted in, all the runs scored. There's a slow roller to Ramirez, and like Porcello, it's a 1-2-3 opening frame for Sale. Sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. By the makers of Men's One a Day, the official multivitamin of Major League Baseball. And by Michelin, the better way forward. Get a look at Comerica Park there in the upper left-hand corner next to Ford Field. And speaking of our Ford, keys to the game.
White Sox got to come out and hit. They've been struggling offensively. They've got to start swinging the bats, give Sales some support. The Tigers have to be ready to play some D. There should be a lot of ground balls. Porcello, when he's effective, throwing that sinker, defense needs to be on its toes.
The captain, Paul Konerko, 321 batter, 14 home runs, 44 runs batted in. Konerko red hot at the start of the year. He's cooled off a little bit lately, but he was due. He was hitting nearly 400. That one hit right on the screws, but right at the center fielder, Austin Jackson. Brought up Adam Dunn in the turnaround he has had from 2011 to this 2012 year. Well, the same can be said for this guy right here, Alex Rios. Had a great 2010 season, but then they moved him from center field to right field and batted just .227 with 13 home runs and 44 knocked in last year. He's already gone right by that RBI total this season. So Alex Rios waiting. 0-1 the count against Rick Porcello. We're in the second inning and neither team with a base runner.
We saw that stat where Rios has been swinging the bat well in July. You know, most of these White Sox hitters have struggled. Alexi Ramirez also swinging it well, but the rest of this group just has not been there offensively at all. Konerko, Dunn, Diaza.
Gone swinging is Alex Rios. Second strikeout for Rick Porcello.
Well, this is a breaking ball right here. You see it duck out of the zone. And Jim Leland telling us before the game that, you know, although Porcello relies on the sinker, and that's his important pitch, if he's got his secondary stuff working, specifically the breaking ball, then he's awfully tough to beat. Early on right now, he's got it.
Well, he talked about Porcello being just 23 years old. He won't be 24 until the very end of the calendar year in December. It's ball one on A.J. Pierzynski. He won 14 games. Very impressive rookie season in 09. In 10 battled some injuries, a 10-game winner, and then came back despite a rather high ERA to win 14 games on a divisional championship team a season ago. I think it's easy for a lot of people to forget that when Justin Verlander was 23, and I'm not comparing the two stuff-wise, but when Verlander was 23, he had pitched in 6 major league games. 6 in a row set down by Porcello. The Prince to lead it off in the Tigers' second. Grab some buds. Great times are waiting. Prince Fielders start things here in the Tigers' second inning of a scoreless game. Fielder elected the American League starting first baseman for the All-Star game. Fourth time he had gone there, and for a third time was a starter. All the other trips, of course, with the Milwaukee Brewers, and signed the big deal as a free agent during the offseason. See what he's done in the last 3 games, but heck, you go back to Independence Day. Fielder is hitting .383, and in 13 games has 3 home runs and 15 runs batted in, and seemingly every time of late he has come to the plate with runners in scoring position, he's getting a base hit.
He's been everything that the Tigers could have asked for. I mean, there's some that say, oh, we'd like to see a bit more power, but in a park like this, he's done just fine.
In the air left field, that'll back up Viciedo. 1 out. Well, Eric Karros, when you look at the American League Central, as you get a look at the swing of fielder, a guy who this year has gone more and more to left and left center field. You know, Cleveland was the team that started out well for a second straight year. They're still very much in it. But then the White Sox, for an extended period of time, got hot. Came from 4.5 back into first. Fly ball into left center that will stay in the ballpark, and Delman Young retired. But now it's the Tigers playing well. And obviously there's a lot of baseball to go. You don't know what kind of deals are going to be made by either one of these clubs looking ahead. But do you think it's going to be a 2-team race, or does Cleveland hang in there?
No, I think it's a 2-team race, Tigers and White Sox. I just don't think that Cleveland has the depth. Their pitching hasn't been as good as of late, especially that starting staff. And like I said, I'm just not sure that they can go out and add the pieces.
Sale got a piece of that with his bare hand, and it cost him the final out of the inning, because Beckham would have thrown out Peralta.
Well, he does the wrong thing and then the right thing. The wrong thing is here, slap it down with your bare hand for 2 reasons. You don't want to break a finger or do something to your hand, and Beckham will make that play. But the smart thing is he recovers, and instead of getting anxious and trying to make a wild throw, he holds on to it, so you've just got a runner at first.
Scored an infield hit for Johnny Peralta. So now the batter is Brennan Bosch, who for the first time all year long here over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, really like the entire club, starting to show signs of life. Batting average up to .250, 9 home runs. He's had a number of those here of late. 38 runs batted in. There you see some of the numbers we're talking about. In his last 12 games, a .381 batter. Swung on and fouled out of play over the White Sox dugout. 0-2.
Well, and this isn't the ideal matchup that Jim Leland is looking for. You put a lefty versus a left-hander like Sale, but he did tell us prior to the game that he's hoping Sale may leave one down and in, and Bosch runs into it. He does have power to hit the ball out of the park.
Sale ahead, 0-2. Struck him out to end the inning. 2 strikeouts in the game for Sale. He allows an infield hit. No score. We're back after a word from your local Fox station.
are heading over to Chris Sale. Now, he's asking him about his hand right there on that ground ball. You know, where did you get it? What happened? You know, and probably tell him, look, use your glove if you're going to try and knock something down.
Viciedo lead things off against Rick Porcello. 6 up, 6 down for the Tigers right-hander through the front 2 innings. And that is a fair ball. Cabrera has a strong arm and shows it off there, just getting Viciedo. Cabrera saying he's feeling more and more comfortable down there at third base.
Well, and you can tell because that's just a smooth play. There's no panic. There's no rush. Gets over there, gets his feet set, and look at shuffles a little bit. Crow hop to first base. Good strong throw. Gets him by a good step.
That ball must have taken a funny hop on Cabrera because he looked like he was ready to backhand that ball and then wound up fielding it to his glove side.
Yeah, it wasn't hit all that hard and could have very easily, but even more reason to say, guy's not panicking over there, even if it takes a different kind of hop.
Alexi Ramirez having a solid season. Maybe not the kind of year that White Sox fans continue to wait for, going back to his rookie year, but he's been a pretty good player for this team since becoming their everyday guy 3 years ago. 2-1.
Well, he's been better this month, no question about it, hitting at a 360 clip. He runs, 13 stolen bases, but you're right, he hasn't been what they had hoped, hasn't been what they expected. Only 2 home runs so far this season.
Austin Jackson in a dead sprint, and boy, he can get to places in a hurry. 2 out. Well, next week, Fox Saturday Baseball, the Red Sox go to the Bronx to take on the Yankees. Some will see the Dodgers and the Giants. Couple of great rivalries. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. I would assume, Eric Karros, you will be in San Francisco.
I am. I'm going to get on a plane and head up there. Looking forward to it. Dodgers are starting to play a little bit better, and the Giants up on top of the division.
Well, quite honestly, I was stunned when I saw that you and I were partners today, considering the way the Anaheim Angels are playing, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are playing, and of course they're part of Fox Saturday Baseball today against the Rangers. There's a fly ball into left center field. Going to get it is Rayburn, and he will. Nice running catch by Ryan Rayburn. 9 in a row retired by Porcello. Still no score. Award winner into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Astonishing 22 World Series, 21 All-Star games, both the most all-time by an analyst. Golly day. Tony Kubek finally broke through. Used to be nothing but play-by-play guys that would go into the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. And now, so deeply deserved, Tim McCarver. Congratulations, Timmy. We're so proud of you and happy for you. Bottom of the third inning, Laird, Worth, and back to the top of the order in Austin Jackson against Chris Sale, who's allowed an infield hit, and that's it. Well, of course, the White Sox game plan is a perfect world. Sale goes 9. If he doesn't, he goes 8. And they bring in their rookie closer, Addison Reed, who is kind enough to join us out in the Chicago bullpen. Addison just hanging out for a little while, and then when do you really zero in on getting serious?
I'd say probably around the 6th, 7th inning is when I start kind of stretching, moving around. Yeah, we just hang out and then start around the 6th, 7th inning, start stretching.
How's it been this year? I mean, it goes from one thing to being a part of the bullpen then to being the closer. I mean, how's that transition been for you?
It's been good. I mean, that's something I've always dreamed of. I've always wanted to do that. And, yeah, I mean, ever since I've gotten the opportunity, I've been loving it and just having fun with it.
Is the mentality different as a reliever as opposed to being the closer?
I try and keep it the same. These guys behind me are pelting me with seeds right now.
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm going to scoot over here. But, yeah, I try and keep it the same no matter what inning I'm throwing. But, yeah, I mean, I'm loving the 9th inning. It's awesome.
Addison, you know, what's your reaction? I think the one thing that, and you've read it, or you've heard about it, I mean, you've only blown 3 saves the entire year, and your bullpen is so young with so many rookies down there alongside of the left-hander Matt Thornton, although today you do get Jesse Crane back in your bullpen. But, you know, what do you say to critics out there who say bullpen's too young, you can't have the closer in a pennant contending team?
Oh, you know what, yeah, I think age has nothing to do with it. If you can perform and do it well, then I honestly think you could. It doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, we have 22-year-olds to Grandpa Thornton over there. He's in his 30s. He's kind of like the dad in the pen. But yeah, I mean, as long as you perform, I think age is just a number.
What's been the biggest adjustment pitching in the minor leagues to the big leagues, as opposed to, oh yeah, you know, the hitters are better? Yeah,
I mean that's the biggest thing. I mean, everybody up here can hit, and I mean, there really are no weak spots in any of the lineups. So it's just really, really important. You got to hit your spots and really locate. You can't get away with too many mistakes up here.
Well, since they're throwing the seeds all over you, you want to kick any of your bullpen guys in front of the bus and tell us who's doing all this to you?
Oh, I think it was everybody. Everybody was back there. They couldn't wait for me to get on here so they could start throwing stuff at me.
Well, in an election year, you fit right in down there, obviously. Addison, you're not going to kick anybody in front of the bus.
Yeah, I know. Trying to be the good guy around here. We all get along. So they'd planned it out. They told me they were going to throw stuff at me, so they at least gave me a warning.
Well, now all of a sudden the White Sox are wondering if something might be bothering Sale. We go back to that one hopper that he knocked down with his pitching hand back in the 2nd inning. It should be noted he did strike out the following batter, Brennan Bosch, and looked very good at it. But he's come out here in the 3rd inning and walked the first 2 batters on 9 pitches.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where although the ball wasn't hit all that hard, you can hit the tip of your finger. It can create some numbness or some discomfort. And again, anything when you're talking about, and you see, there's the knuckle right there he's pointing to. You know, anything that has an impact on your ability to grip the ball, to grip a bat. And while it may be minuscule and you say, oh, it's just a little pinky, or oh, it's just it can have a huge impact on your ability to play the game. That's what they're looking at right now.
Well, obviously Sale has convinced everybody that he is just fine to stay in the game. Most importantly, his manager, Robin Ventura. I'm not going to ask you, Addison, if you're surprised, because it'd be a silly question to ask you if you're surprised how well Sale has done as a starter.
No.
But even the short amount of time he was in the bullpen, even going back to last year, and I know you were up very long, but obviously you spent a lot of time with him. Did you feel like that might be his better spot anyway in the starting rotation?
Yeah, I mean, with an arm like that, I mean, we get way more out of him when he's out there for 7, 8, 9 innings rather than the 1, 2 that he would be in the pen. But yeah, I mean, he's a great pitcher, and I mean, like he showed this first half. I mean, one of the best, if not, I think he has the best ERA in the league. And I mean, it's awesome. He's doing a great job for us, and he's doing everything we asked for.
Well, Addison, you've done a great job, too. We want to thank you for taking the time. You're the first reliever who's ever joined us, actually, from the bullpen during a game. So thank you and good luck.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks,
okay,
Addison.
Man.
Thank
Addison
you.
Reed, a closer of the White Sox. Swing and a miss, back-to-back breaking balls after the back-to-back walks. And just in case, the White Sox are going to get their bullpen busy, Dylan Axelrod will begin to throw. Axelrod's been used out of the bullpen. They've spot started him, so he could gobble up some innings if they have to go down that road. So 3 strikeouts in the game for Sale, and here's Ryan Rayburn. I know it's not necessarily a big part of their game. Are you a little surprised they didn't ask Austin Jackson to put down a bunt right there?
Well, I am a bit, but I understand why you don't, because Sale is not a conventional thrower as far as it's not right over the top. I'm going to just drop the bunt down. Jim Leland thinking, look, it's going to be difficult enough to bunt against this guy.
Well, it's going to be a double play on a good throw to end the inning. So they don't bunt. They get a strikeout and a double play. And Rayburn hears it from the crowd in Detroit. No extra charge when you switch. And by Jeep. Across the Detroit River, right into Windsor, Ontario, Canada. You been over there before, Eric?
Have not made it over that way.
Okay.
No. Spend my time when I come to Detroit. I'm hotel in the field preparing for a game. That's what I do, Tommy.
Alejandro Diaz will lead things off. And he looks at a fastball. Strike one from Porcello. He's been a strike machine so far today. Had a couple of nice plays behind him, ending the third inning. One by Jackson, the other by Rayburn. Porcello has retired the first 9. Nice breaking ball in there. 0-2. Well, coming up here in a minute, we're going to tell you what's going on. Big weekend series out in Anaheim. The Rangers and the Angels, top two teams in the American League West. Angels winning behind Jared Weaver in the series opener last night to pull within 5 games of the Rangers, who still have the second best record in all the American League behind the Yankees.
Yeah, the Rangers are a very complete ball club. You know, Josh Hamilton, though, struggling as of late. Offensively, they're not hitting the home runs. Napoli not doing what he did last year.
Swing and a miss. That's 3 strikeouts for Porcello. Let's go to our buddy Matt Vasgersian for a direct TV game break.
Tommy, tell your partner, the guy who only goes to the hotel in the ballpark when he gets on the road, that Mike Napoli did it today, hit a home run against his old team. So did this guy, Adrian Beltre. 6-0 Rangers early. Second time in the last 3 starts that Irvin Santana did not make it out of the second inning. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Back to Tom and Eric.
Well, Matt, you can tell him yourself. Let him know that you know, he's got to mix in something else from time to time. Wouldn't you agree?
Matt knows I study hard. I study hard, Matt. You know that.
You become frighteningly one-dimensional, EK. Get out. Have a sandwich every once in a while.
It's a tapper down to third by Kevin Youkilis. Always great to check in with our buddy Matt Vasgersian back from the MLB Network studios. 11 in a row now retired by Porcello to begin the game, and here comes Adam Dunn. He lined out to Miguel Cabrera, ending the opening inning. And that was a line drive to the shortstop position because of this defensive shift. See, through 93 games, Dunn, 4th most home runs in White Sox franchise history. But that batting average hovering right around 200. So the home runs and the RBIs have been there.
Well, that's the thing. You know, the people that are big fans of Adam Dunn talk about the walks, the on-base percentage, the home runs. You know, critics will say, though, the amount of unproductive outs he makes. A strikeout doesn't have the defense do anything. It doesn't move a runner over. And those are things that obviously year in and year out, I mean, he's at the top of the list. You can change the course of a game, though, with one swing of the bat.
Foul tipped in and out of the middle of the catcher, Gerald Laird. So Dunn hanging around at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Konerko hoping for a chance here in the White Sox 4th inning. It would mean the White Sox get a base runner against Rick Porcello. Once more the 1-2. High fly ball. Rayburn waiting. 12 up, 12 down. Still no score from Comerica Park.
score runs every time he does the interview, so he told me don't screw it up. So I guess I got to give you guys a good interview.
Presented by Budweiser. Two very potent offensive clubs, but two very good starts on the mound. One by Porcello is yet to allow a base runner. Chris Sale, back-to-back walks to open the Tigers' third inning, but then got a strikeout and a double play. And here's a heart of the order: Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, and Delman Young. Well, joining us from down in the Tigers dugout in his second year with a team after establishing a career best 15 wins last year and well on his way to bettering that this season is right-hander Max Scherzer. Maxwell, how are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks so much. You said that Verlander told you to don't mess this thing up today, right?
Yeah. He came over and said every time he gets on an interview, the Fox interview, that we always score runs, so he told me don't screw it up.
Of course, you got Cabrera and Fielder coming up. There's a fly ball into right center field, being handled by De Aza. One out. Well, Max, your entire team, after really very little going right in April, May, even part of June, things look like they're coming together. You guys sense that?
Yeah, we're playing pretty good baseball. Really, everybody on the team, we're hitting better, we're pitching better, and our bullpen's been doing pretty good. So, overall, we've just been playing, pretty good baseball over the past 6 weeks.
For you specifically, I mean, there's some games where you look absolutely unhittable. Other games, you struggle a bit. What's the difference for you? I mean, to be so dominating one game and then have another outing the next one.
For me, it's all about command. Commanding the fastball and commanding the off-speed. When I'm able to, execute pitches the way I want to, I'm usually able to have success. I get in trouble when I don't execute. And, it comes all down to location. And, I really focus on myself. So, really going forward, that's what I worry about, is just what I can execute and where I place the ball.
Max, a lot is made from a hitter standpoint, when they move from one league to the other, about getting used to the pitchers and seeing them for a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth time. There's a high fly ball in the short right field. Rios, his first instinct was to go back, and he comes in to get it. Has that been a big challenge for you as well, getting to know more and more hitters in this American League?
Yes and no. Obviously pitching in the American League, it's a tough league, having a DH. But I also think sometimes it gets exaggerated moving between leagues because at the end of the day, it's pitching. You got to be able to throw all three pitches for strikes and be able to execute, in and out of the zone. And so whether you're in the National League or the American League, it all comes down to that.
Delman Young with 2 outs and nobody on.
So, Max, you get to play general manager Dave Dombrowski for a day, and you can't give Max Scherzer a 5-year, $150 million deal.
Why not?
You can do that after you go out and make an acquisition. What do you go get right now?
That's a tough question. It's hard to say we really need something right now because, like I said, we're starting to play pretty good baseball right now from all aspects of the game, and so that's why Dave makes the big bucks and he has to make that type of decision.
Euclid to the glove side, and the inning is over. Well, the streak is over, Max.
I know, I didn't do good.
No, Verlander's going to let you have it.
Yeah, I will.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
All right.
Have it. Says no more. Ended a good streak. Telling him before he came on, every time we go on, we score runs. Yep, cut. He's done. Justin Verlander, last year not only the American League Cy Young Award winner, but also the league's most valuable player. Last night, you start a series where your team's a game and a half behind in the Central. Granted, there's a long way to go, but the tone-setting game oftentimes can be the opening game of a series. And boy, did he set the tone last night. Six strikeout. Look at that. 62nd consecutive game. He's gone 6 or more innings. Boy, that's an ace.
Well, only one other pitcher in the history of the game. Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP, and that was Brooklyn Dodgers' Don Newcomb. Verlander, by winning the MVP last year, sits alongside.
Dribbled foul. He was throwing over 100 miles an hour in the 8th inning. You don't need to tell Gordon Beckham that. Look what happened to the bat. On a checked swing, a fastball that was 101 miles per hour in the 8th.
I mean, that literally just blew up his bat. Beckham just going, you gotta be kidding me.
First 3-ball count of the afternoon, meanwhile, for Porcello. And it's punched into right field. That'll dribble through a base hit by Konerko. And he is the first base runner of the game against Porcello, who now for the first time in, an hour, will pitch out of the stretch. And even though guys warm up with a couple of pitches working out of the stretch, every now and again, we'll see the man on the mound struggle with command for a couple of pitches until he settles in.
He's got Alex Rios at the plate, probably been the most consistent White Sox hitter all year long. Coming into today, hitting close to 360 in the month of July.
Ball 1 on Rios. And Rios just swung at ball 2. Hard breaking ball, took a nosedive down and away from it.
A.J. Pierzynski on deck. Having a nice year for the White Sox. Well, you mentioned it, having struggles now going to the stretch, and although the count's 2-1, he should have thrown, if Rios doesn't swing at that ball, 3 straight balls.
Pulled foul. That'll even a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. These White Sox in jeopardy of falling out of first place with a loss here today. They have been in first place 54 days this season, including every day since the 29th of May, with the exception of a 5-day stretch. Slow roller. They're going to have to hurry. And the ball is dropped trying to turn it by Danny Wirth, but that was in the exchange. So the runner is safe.
You see, Peralta just flips it over there. Wirth making the exchange is when he drops it. Clearly has control of the ball. It's when he's taking it out of his glove where he loses it. Good call by the second base umpire, Ronnie Culpa.
A.J. Pierzynski bounced out to Wirth, his only at bat today. Much has been made even before the season began about this Tigers defense. And Jim Leyland admitted in spring training, heck, he admitted it again earlier this morning. He said, look, I think our defense by and large has been fine. Runner takes off for second. And a ground ball to Wirth, safe there, but they'll get the out at first base. So that'll just go as a straight up 4-6-3. getting only the out at first.
A little surprised that A.J. swung at the very first pitch. Again, we talked about it earlier where Porcello and Laird, it's a good combination to run against his Tiger ball club. Rios steals. He's got 14 stolen bases, but A.J. just aggressive, swings at the first pitch.
So now runner in scoring position, and it's Viciedo. Well, the White Sox have really struggled against Porcello for whatever reason when they've gotten runners on base against him. I mean, they owned Porcello his first few times out, but it's gone the other way his last 5 starts against the Chicago lineup, going 4-0 in those outings with an ERA of 2.5. Little flare into right. It's going to fall a hit, and this will bring in the game's first run. First time for the White Sox in their last 17 at-bats against Porcello with runners in scoring position that they get a base hit. This one brings in a run.
No, it wasn't pretty, but it was well placed. And Viciedo, a .313 hitter with runners in scoring position. Again, Konerko gets that ground ball through the right side to start the inning. Rios, because he's stealing, gets down there safely to second, and then the little blue pit. Again, almost doesn't seem fair if you're Porcello.
So now Alexi Ramirez, he lined out to Jackson in center field his first time up. Bouncer foul. You know, getting back quickly to the Detroit defense and all the talk about it before the year began and the way they started defensively, especially Cabrera, who's gotten better and better as the season's gone on. It's been the infield defense that's been primarily in question. Peralta will make every play that he can get to, but what does he get to? Second base guys in and out of the lineup. Fielder, with a reputation of a very good defensive first baseman, had his issues earlier this season, but back to generally where he's been. But Jim Leyland doesn't seem to think it's much of a problem.
No, it's one of those things, if they get to it, and that's the key, if they get to it, they'll make the play. If you look in all of baseball, there's only one team that has fewer assists, and that's the New York Yankees. Now, granted, the Tigers strike out a lot of opposing hitters, but the reality is there is not a ton of range on that infield. You make the same argument with the New York Yankees, especially on that left side of the infield. Rodriguez and Jeter. But again, if they get their hands on it, they'll make the play.
Peralta will get his hands on this one and throws out Ramirez. They get their first base runner. It leads to the first run of the game. Chevrolet has that feeling back. Feel it too with Chevy Confidence. One run, 2 hits for Chicago. No runs, 1 hit for Detroit. Only hit for the Tigers against Sale was an infield hit by the man who swings at the first pitch leading off the 5th, Peralta. Strike 1. Sale has been on an amazing run. Over his last 10 starts, an 8-0 record with an ERA barely over 1.5. Opponents are batting less than 200. And his strikeout to walk ratio has been nearly 7-1. The last 45 at bats, in fact, you can change that. The last 47 at bats against him with runners in scoring position. 47 at bats. Opponents have 5 hits.
Yeah, just a lot coming at you as a hitter. There's elbows, there's knees.
There's another one right back to Sale from the same guy who hit it the first time. And look what touched the ball first.
Glove. He took the words of advice from his teammates. Got the glove, knocked it down, and then calmly picked it up, barehanded it all to Paul Konerko. We talk about what makes him so difficult. He's got a lot coming at you as a hitter. I've heard some people talk about Randy Johnson. Well, Randy Johnson had the height and just his arm slot. It wouldn't come from directly center field. It would be out in right center. I talked to A.J. Pierzynski, the catcher of the White Sox. He likened Sale to Dontrell Willis. Not necessarily with stuff, but with all the going on. And I could see where that would be very difficult as a hitter to pick up the ball.
Breaking ball, strike 1 to Bosch, who struck out on a similar pitch, ending the 2nd inning. Today's the first time that Sale has ever started a game in this ballpark. Fouled back out of play. He's appeared in 3 games, all of them out of the bullpen. You may remember Sale last year was used exclusively as a reliever for the White Sox. In fact, until this year, he had never started a game in the big leagues. And now you're getting into that whole theory. I think it was actually created by our esteemed colleague, longtime sports writer for Sports Illustrated, Tom Verducci. In looking back and examining the number of innings a guy will pitch from one year to the next, whether it be a pitcher coming off an injury, whether it be a pitcher who just maybe was called up halfway through a season. Well, the bottom line is this young man sailed through just 71 innings last year in his 58 games. And we asked Robin Ventura about it before the game. He said they've talked about it, but right now they're not worried about it.
Well, I think, too, what Robin specifically was saying is every individual is different. I mean, you can't just say base hit right here. You can't just say, well, if he throws X amount of innings, then you know what? We got to set him down. Like I said, everybody's different. You watch this windup here. It's just, look at the release point. It's out by the second baseman. You got the elbows, the arms, everything coming at you. So as a hitter, it's very difficult to just focus on one spot to try to pick up the release point. You see where that release point is, and that's already after you've got him hiding the ball, the elbows and the knees. And we're not even talking about the type of stuff he has. You know, he's got a 93, 92, and then when he wants to, it's 96. He's got a nasty slider. Just not a lot of fun if you're a hitter.
Sale's last start described by A.J. Pierzynski as not having his best stuff. That one is pulled down the left field line and out of play by Danny Wirth. He allowed a season-high 10 base hits and a 2-1 win over Kansas City. And naturally, when you allow 10 base hits, velocity's down a little bit. First thing people are going to say is, wear and tear now from last year. But this young man just recently crossed 110 innings for the year.
Yeah, but how about maybe you coming back after the All-Star break?
It's going to fall in a fair ball. And on to third base. Good base running there by Gerald Laird. 2 outs in the inning, was running anyway. So they're on the corners.
Well, turnabout is fair play. You remember the White Sox scoring on the bloop single last inning by Diane Viciedo. Right now, Worth just shoots it right down that right field line, landing just fair.
So now Austin Jackson, he is lined out to Youkilis at third. Struck out swinging against Sale in the third. White Sox lead 1-0, but Detroit knocking on the door. That ball's in the right center field gap. This will tie it and maybe give him the lead. On his way to third is Worth. They're going to wave him around. He will score. A 2-out, 2-run double by Austin Jackson.
Well, this is a slider that doesn't really bite. It stays on the middle part of the plate. Austin Jackson drives it to right center. And remember, last time he came to the plate, there were runners on first and second. Jim Leyland elected to have him swing. He was unsuccessful instead of bunting. That right there, that play drives to right center. Rios doesn't come up with it cleanly, thus not going to have a play at the plate.
All of this noise started after the first two were easily retired by Sale in the inning. Got Peralta on a comebacker to the mound, struck out Bosch, but then Laird, a ground ball into left field, a little dunker down the right field line by Worth, giving Jackson a chance, and he gives him a 1-run lead.
Well, and I think what's frustrating if you're the White Sox, it's the same thing that happened last night. They go on the board 2-0, and in the bottom half of the inning, the Tigers come right back and score 3 runs. Here today, White Sox jump out to a lead, and Tigers come right back to retake it.
First strike 3 called to Rayburn. 5th strikeout for Sale, but damage done. Austin Jackson excited about the 2-out, 2-run double, giving his Tigers a 1-run lead. Prudential, bring your challenges. And by Share Everything, it's a plan that revolves around you, only from Verizon. Oh, what a great park. Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Crowd electric here for the series opener last night. Tigers getting the win behind Justin Verlander. And they've just taken a 2-1 lead. A 2-out, 2-run double by Austin Jackson. Porcello retired the first 12 before allowing a base hit, then gave up the 2-out single by Biciedo, knocking in the only run for the Sox. And a tapper in the hole. Going to be a tough play for Ramirez. And he made it. What a play by Alexi Ramirez. So Peralta making a play at short. Beg your pardon. It was Ramirez watching as Peralta went into the hole to make that play. That's a good play.
Well, we talked about it. If the Tigers can get to the ball, they'll make the play. Peralta, a good strong arm. Fielder with a nice stretch.
Of course, Peralta back in his Cleveland days had played short, moved over to third, and back to short coming to Detroit. Oh and 1 on De Aza. 0 for 2 is bounced out to Fielder and struck out.
You know, I think more than anything, so far the story of this game has been Rick Porcello and the starting pitching of the Tigers. And we talked to Jim Leyland prior to the game, and we asked him what the difference is, why they're winning games. He said, we're just getting darn good starting pitching. And you can talk all you want about Cabrera and Fielder, but the pitching has been outstanding and getting another good outing today.
And of course, there are all kinds of rumors going around with virtually every team. On the Tigers, there's been a lot of talk about trying to acquire another starting pitcher, and some of the names that have been thrown around for anybody looking for a starting pitcher. Zach Greinke in Milwaukee, Matt Garza with the Cubs, Ryan Dempster, his teammate, even James Shields in Tampa Bay, to a lesser extent Cole Hamels, because a lot of people feel like Hamels is going to be signed by Philadelphia rather than getting traded. You buy into that?
A week ago I would have said no way. That's just going to be a thing where he gets an offer he can't refuse. I would have anticipated him coming to the West Coast. He's a San Diego native. Not sure where the Phillies are headed these next few years. Just as far as you're talking about, guys are getting older. See David Dombrowski, general manager of the Tigers, and I do anticipate them making a move.
Slow roller to the right side, and Fielder to the bag. 2 out. Take a look at our Jeep game summary. Story has certainly been pitching. Porcello and Sale. Porcello, the great start. Allowed 2 hits in the run scoring 5th. Jackson driving in 2 against Sale in the bottom of the inning.
Well, and again, just like last night, Jackson, that was a 2-out hit. Last night, when they scored 3 runs, the Tigers did. All 3 hits with 2 outs. Ended up winning the game 4-2.
Strike one to Euclid. So getting back to something you said a minute ago, when you say you think the Tigers are going to do something, the other thing that has been talked about a great deal here in Detroit, the second base position. They've used primarily 3 guys throughout the entire year. 2 most certainly. Been talk about Polanco coming back here, Omar Infante coming back here. Do you think it's a pitcher, or do you think it's a second baseman they make a move for?
Well, I think the second baseman is probably more realistic because you're not going to have to give up as much. I think those starting pitchers, because there is such a market for them, that those teams that hold those starters, they're going to be able to demand whatever they want. The second base position's a bit more realistic. There's also another guy out there that will probably intrigue some Detroit Tiger fans. That's Marco Scutaro. Played for the A's with the Red Sox, now currently with the Colorado Rockies.
Euclid chases on the fastball up in the strike zone, right back with a 1-2-3-6 inning. Tigers and the White Sox, first place on the line in the Central, and it's a 1-run game.
Weekend as today our own Tim McCarver took his place in Cooperstown as this year's recipient of the Ford C. Frick Award for Broadcast Excellence.
Baseball. I've been thrilled about it and wearied by it, but more than anything else, I've lived it and always loved it.
The ceremonies continue tomorrow as Barry Larkin becomes the 24th shortstop honored at Cooperstown. Back to Tom and Eric in Detroit.
Matt, thank you very much, and congratulations again to Tim McCarver. Just so excited for him finally being recognized as perhaps the greatest color analyst in the history of Major League Baseball. And I'm not so sure, a lot of people would say John Madden, certainly the best all-time in the history of NFL. Tell you what, John Madden's career has nothing over Tim McCarver's career, and that's not taking anything away from Madden. No, McCarver's career as an analyst in this sport is unparalleled.
Well, what he's seen both in the booth, on the field, is really unparalleled. When you think of all the things that he's been able to relate to viewers, and you can't teach that. You can only experience it. And like I said, as a player and an analyst, somebody in the booth, I don't know who's seen more.
Prince Fielder, after a leadoff hit by Miguel Cabrera, looks at a pitch on the outside corner, knee high from Sale to strike. Fielder is fly to left and flied out to right. Of course, Matt Vasgersian mentioned a moment ago Barry Larkin, the former Cincinnati great, in fact a Cincinnati native, born and raised, will be inducted tomorrow along with the great Ron Santo. And I certainly have been privileged and honored to know both of those guys ever since Larkin stepped into the major leagues. Heck, I went all the way back to knowing him in high school. But Ron Santo, my broadcast partner for 6 years, back when I had the privilege of calling the Chicago Cubs games. And I've said it once and I'll say it as long as I have breath. There has never been a more courageous man that I've ever met in my life, nor a finer man I've ever met in my life than Ron Santo. God rest his soul. Lost both of his legs due to diabetes, a number of health-related issues later in his life, and just kept plowing forward. What a great honor. I know I speak for a lot of Chicago fans, not just Cub fans. Santo spent 1 year with the White Sox in '74. But Ron Santo was the kind of man, if you were around him for 10 minutes, you fell in love with the guy, Eric. You had a chance to be around him a number of times during his broadcasting days. Then you were with him at the Cubs the year you went to that LCS, and that's when he went through one of his many bouts of health problems, the year you guys nearly went to the World Series. I mean, you ever seen a guy who ever rooted for his team more than Ron Santo did the Cubbies?
And it was genuine.
No
that
doubt.
Was the thing. It was genuine. And I'd argue that even as a player, as a fan, he probably wanted it more. And he wasn't playing that year in 2003 just for the city of Chicago, for Cubs fans. As you said, I mean, I only got to spend time with him for a year, but as good a person as I've ever run across.
Swing and a miss by Fielder. So congratulations to Ron Santo, his wife Vicky, his 2 boys and his daughter. They will be there with so many friends. And I mean hundreds of fans from Chicago. Look at that.
Yeah, that is amazing. And that's the whole thing, is you just don't, if you were asked, hey, name the top 3 RBI guys of the 60s, you'd go with the Aaron and the Mays. You'd go with that. And you said Santo? That just doesn't jump at you, but that's the reality. I mean, he was as good as there was.
Line drive off the bat of Delman Young, caught by Youkilis, and then he thought about throwing over, probably thought better of it. He said, right in the ground.
Again, we saw earlier Youkilis ranging to his left to snag a line drive. Now he's going to his right. And again, it all emanates from his getting ready prior to the pitch. A little bit of movement that all infielders should have, so they're not just stuck in stone and they can't move when the ball's hit.
Peralta, an infield hit. And then a comebacker to the mound. Ball one. Well, Barry Larkin, the other big Hall of Fame inductee. You played against him virtually your entire career. What a fantastic player. Great athlete. All the way back to his high school days. Many wondered, would it be baseball? Would it be football? Bo Schembechler tried to talk Barry Larkin into giving up baseball and playing for the Wolverines as a defensive back. And he said, no, I'm playing for Bud Middow and the Wolverines as a shortstop.
Smart move. And as you mentioned, probably his greatest attribute was just his athleticism. Could beat you defensively, offensively as well.
Larkin, a second-round draft pick by his hometown team. Came out of Moeller High School. Offered football and baseball scholarships to Michigan. 3 years there. Big Ten Player of the Year twice. And there's a steal of second base. Come on, Larkin, he's a second-round draft choice coming out of high school. Was a #1 pick again by the Reds coming out of college.
Well, you see the White Sox just not ready for stolen base right there. A.J. Przinsky unable to handle it.
And that's 4 stolen bases now by Miguel Cabrera in 5 attempts. You were the guy that used to do that every now and again to teams. A guy that wasn't known as a big stolen base guy, but you'd pick him up when they wouldn't pay attention to you.
It's the only way I could get him, Tommy.
Well, it doesn't matter. You got him. There's ball 4 to Peralta, so 2 on. And now it'll be left-handed batting Brennan Bosch, who has struck out twice against Sale here today.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt right there as far as walking Peralta. You don't want to get into a situation where you just lay one down the middle. You've got the left-hand hitting Brennan Bosch, who you've struck out twice so far this game. This is a guy you go after right here.
So Bosch waiting. Breaking ball misses in, 1-0. Tigers have been a 2-out hitting machine, not only in this series, but overall recently. This ball is stung into deep right field, and they've done it again. Bosch home run number 10. It's a 3-run shot. 2-1 becomes 5-1.
Well, I got to say it. I mean, Jim Leland told us before the game as he laid on his couch in some sort of centerfold pose telling us, hey, the reason Bosch is in there is I think he has a chance of running into one today. And he sure as heck did.
Tapper down to third. And Youkilis will throw out Laird. A single, a 2-out walk, and Bosch, who had struck out twice, plays long ball. Presented by Budweiser. White Sox got on the board with a 2-out single by Viciedo back in the 5th inning. 5 unanswered since by the home team. 2-run double by Austin Jackson. A 2-out, 3-run home run by Brennan Bosch. Part of the order for the White Sox against Rick Porcello here in inning number 7. Dunn, Konerko, and Alex Rios. That home run a moment ago by Bosch, his first home run in 96 at-bats this year against a left-hander.
Well, how about this? Sale hasn't given up a home run to a left-hander.
Fly ball to center, easily tracked by Jackson. So those indeed would be some long odds. Bosch had not hit one in nearly 100 at-bats, and Sale had not given one up.
But like I said, Jim Leyland sitting on that darn couch today, laying down, giving his little interview to us. He called it. He said it. Brennan Bosch is in there because I think he's got a chance of running into one.
Skipper was very relaxed today.
Oh, he was. It looked like he was posing for the January cover of the Detroit Tiger calendar. I'm telling you. He was relaxed.
Well, you'd be relaxed too if your team had won 11 of the last 13 with a chance to go into first place today.
Yeah, they have been playing well, and it's just as many people had expected. And ironically, coming into last night's ball game, they had the exact same record as they did last year at this time. You know, remember they acquired Doug Fister, and then they really started to take off. And this is just the time right now where maybe they don't go out and acquire somebody, but Fister starts to throw well. Porcello gets his thing going. Scherzer. They can take off again.
Straight up in the air and playable left side of the infield in fair territory. It's Cabrera. 2 out. Now it's time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stack. Jackson the 2-run double. Bosch the 2-out 3-run home run. Just as the Tigers count on Jackson and Bosch, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
You know, and you just mentioned it, Tommy. They did that all with 2 outs. And when you're on the defensive side and you give up 2-out runs, it's just a killer because you're just one pitch away from getting out of the dugout, having some momentum, feeling good, and it's just like kick to the midsection right there with a 2-out run. It really is.
Popped up, crossing into foul ground. It's Fielder. Rios retired. Boy, Porcello, what an outing today. Sale trailing 5-1. Jaguars. See the new model year lineup at your local Jaguar retailer. And by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. Second time today we've seen Dylan Axelrod getting loose in the White Sox bullpen. Sale was sailing along. There's a broken bat liner right back to the White Sox left-hander on the first pitch here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He allowed 1 hit. Did walk a couple of batters in the 3rd inning, but got a strikeout, a double play, came back with a 1-2-3 4th. Ran into trouble in the 5th after 2 were out with nobody on. And the bottom part of the order got it. Laird a hit, Danny Worth a hit, and then a 2-out, 2-run double by this man, Austin Jackson, before the Tigers got a hit, a 2-out walk, and a 3-run home run by Bosch, extending their lead. 2 out. Well, let's go to Matt Basturgeon for a DirecTV game break.
Hey, Tommy, Angels and Rangers, and had Karros not specifically requested to fly to Detroit to do the White Sox-Tigers game with you, he'd have been able to stay home in Southern California and watch the Mike Napoli show. Absolutely wearing out his old mate's 2nd home run of the game, all Rangers so far in Anaheim. You call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Back to you guys in no time.
Ryan Rayburn able to quiet the boos and turn them into cheers after a 2-out double into left center.
Just a fastball down the middle of the plate. Rayburn needed it just for himself so he could get some sleep tonight, because I can tell you, when you're struggling like this, you have the hometown fans booing. I mean, you just feel miserable. I mean, nobody feels worse than you, and nobody wants to get a hit more than you. He's up there trying. Now maybe a little bit of rest tonight. Maybe you get 6 hours of sleep instead of 8.
Well, you understand this move. Go ahead and walk the right-handed batting Cabrera. It's not like you're pitching around him to get some easy out. Fielder waiting. Although Fielder today 0 for 3.
Well, 0 for 3, but remember that this guy with runners in scoring position, as good as anybody. 404 average. That leads all of Major League Baseball.
You know, that's the thing a lot of people wonder. When Victor Martinez injured his knee, and all of a sudden the Tigers are figuring, what do we do now? I mean, Martinez was a guy who hit less than 15 home runs and knocked in well over 100 runs last year. And you do that by getting a lot of 2-out base hits, singles and doubles. Well, Fielder is on pace to hit more home runs than that. He already has with 15 of them. But he's on pace to knock in 115, 120 runs. And oftentimes it's been with a 2-out single or the 2-out double.
You know, as we mentioned, he's been great with runners in scoring position. So what does he do? He just basically offsets the loss of Victor Martinez. You know, is this team better this year than last year's ball club? I'm not so sure. I think Victor Martinez probably gives you, I'm not going to say a better at-bat, but he'll foul some pitches off. He'll work it. Although, in Prince Fielder's defense, I mean, this is a big slugger that has struck out less than 50 times. He's almost 1-to-1 with walks and strikeouts. What Jim Leland can't wait for is when Victor Martinez comes back next year.
Well, you know, there have been a lot of rumors flying around and people wondering, is there a chance that Victor Martinez will come back this year? We point blank asked Jim Leland that question. He said, I don't see it happen. He said, you know, people talk about this or, you know, coming back from an injury here and all the technology and all the rehabilitation and science and all these things. He said, the only thing that works is time.
And he hit it right on the head.
2-2 on Fielder. But make no mistake about it, whether it be this year or looking to 2013, when they have Fielder, Cabrera, and Martinez one day in their lineup. Oh.
Not fun. Not fun if you're an opposing pitcher.
2-2. In the air down the right field line. And over into foul ground. Nope, caught it in fair territory as Alex Rios to end the inning. White Sox running out of time. Top of the 8th inning, Don Kelly replacing Brendan Bosch in right field. Bosch, a big 3-run home run in that 6th inning, taking a 1-run spread to a 4-run game. But it's still Porcello. He has been the story today, just in case. Joaquin Benoit, hard-throwing right-hander, getting loose in a Tiger bullpen. Porcello has never started and completed a game in his young major league career. But ever since allowing that base hit by Viciedo to knock in the only White Sox run in the 5th, he had retired till that base hit 7 in a row. So a single by A.J. Pierzynski starts the 8th. Oh, some of the great stars in the game. Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander, Brandon Phillips, David Price, among more than 20 major leaguers to visit the MLB Fan Cave. Watch MLB Fan Cave player videos. Stay up to date on what's going on. MLBFancave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter. Ball 1 low to Viciedo. I am sure that despite a very low pitch count, only 84 of them for Porcello, that if another runner reaches base, although this should be a double play, and he'll stay with Porcello. It is.
Well, that's what Porcello does. He induces a ground ball. The defense for Detroit has been great today. They've made every play. Porcello has kept them involved. I mean, you look at that, 85 pitches, 58 strikes. The balls haven't been hit all that hard against him as well.
You know, you brought up something earlier about the league batting .320 against Porcello as it strike one to Ramirez. In 102 innings coming into the game, he allowed 136 hits. Now, not to overwhelm you with numbers, but 29 of those hits have been infield hits. Now, we asked Jim Leland, we said, look, you know, we don't get to see the Tigers play every day. But wouldn't logic dictate that if you're having some issues, if you will, with your infield defense, and Porcello is a ground ball pitcher, then maybe more than any other pitcher on your staff, he would be hurt by maybe a defense that can't get to a lot of ground balls. And that's when Leland said, yeah, in fact, 29 ground ball outs. But man, is he on his game today. Only one base runner allowed since the fifth. The Tigers are 3 outs away from moving into first in the American League Central Division. Budweiser, sponsored by T-Mobile. Test drive our nationwide 4G network, and by Ford. Go further. Detroit, Michigan, the proud home of Ford. And action in both bullpens. Septimo, the left-hander, for the White Sox. And the Tigers are going to get their closer ready, even though it's a non-save situation. Jose Valverde. And now coming on after warming up in the 7th inning, it's Dylan Axelrod.
He's been used in both ends as starter, as a reliever. Done a nice job.
Sale in danger of losing for the first time since the month of May. Tigers bat for what they hope will be the final time today, last of the 8th inning, with a 4-run lead. Last time Sale lost a start was on May the 12th in Kansas City. And I would imagine, Eric, tell me if you agree. And, of course, we're going to find out shortly. I would imagine that Jim Leland is going to give Porcello a chance to finish this game.
Well, I think you have to. He's deserved it the way he's thrown. He's kept his defense involved. He hasn't been in any real trouble. Kid's throwing a great game. And we talked about it earlier. This is why the Tigers are on this run right now, the starting pitcher.
Axelrod getting Delman Young on a swing and a miss to open up the Detroit 8th.
Now in Chicago's defense, so they're in a bit of a stretch right now that's pretty darn demanding. I mean, you come out of the All-Star break, you've got 10 on the road. That includes 4 in Boston that probably seemed like 2 weeks. You come here to Detroit, you get to go home to unpack your bags and then pack them again, and you go into Texas. You don't necessarily have to be in first, you just have to stay within a couple games as you get through this stretch.
And of course the White Sox are trying to get their starting rotation back in order. Axelrod has had to make spot starts for him out of their bullpen. Philip Humber just activated off the disabled list after going on a minor league rehab. They're going to get they don't know when they're going to get John Danks back.
Well, and you mentioned Humber, he'll get the start tomorrow. Floyd will get the start Monday
night.
Danks, you just can't count on. I mean, right now he's just starting to play catch on flat ground.
There's a base hit into center field by Johnny Peralta. Isn't it interesting how, those of us who cover the game, in this case as broadcasters, fans, we spend so much time and so much energy saying, well, when they get this guy back and they get that guy back. But in our conversation with both managers today, Robin Ventura and Jim Leyland, they're like, you know what? I love those guys, but and it was almost an identical conversation. They're like, I can't even begin to think about where these guys are. Kelly is first at bat, a fly ball in the right.
Well, that's the thing. These managers have enough to worry about with the guys that are active in their clubhouse and preparing for each game. You can't be concerned with the 4 or 5 or 6 guys, in their disabled list. And, oh, boy, they hit 5 balls off the tee today. Or they sprinted 20 yards today. Well, Jim Leyland told us, I don't want to hear any of that. Either just tell me when he can play. That's all I want to know. When can he play? Not really interested in all the progress. Doesn't do any good making out his lineup.
Laird has very much been a factor here today. He's been on base a couple of times, batting in the number 8 spot, a walk, a single, a run scored. Of course, the White Sox, Ken Rosenthal talked about it before the game today. They have made a trade to upgrade. They feel like upgrade their bullpen. They certainly bring in a lot of experience. As Laird is on base for the 3rd time today. Brett Myers, one-time outstanding starter and reliever for the Philadelphia Phillies. Most recently, he's been in Houston. Last year was a starter. During spring training, they moved him into the closer's role. And there you see his numbers with the Astros this year. Guy who's not afraid. Good stuff. Maybe not the stuff he once had, but should fit in nicely in that Chicago bullpen.
Well, and one of the other attractive things about Brett Myers is that he is under the White Sox control for next year. Then there's a vesting option or something along those lines in the year 2014. But the White Sox have him for 2013. You can make him a starter. You can keep him in the bullpen. Good move by general manager Kenny Williams.
And Kenny Williams, a general manager who will be active in trying to put together a deal. One and one to Danny Wirth, much like Laird batting at the bottom part of the batting order. Laird now has been on base 3 times. Wirth trying to get on for a 3rd time.
Well, you can see we've got some shadows right now. Difficult if you're up at the plate. You know, as a hitter, when you do have these shadows, just difficult to pick up the rotation on the ball. Pitchers are throwing off-speed stuff. You don't necessarily recognize it early. You got to hope they hang something.
Three and two now on Worth. The runners will get started. Peralta at second base and Laird over at first. Well, you get a base hit here, you basically kick the door in. Always hear about staying within slam range, getting a grand slam. Base hit into the outfield here, you're up by 5. They're loaded for Jackson.
Well, this is the man that had the first big hit of the game. Hit that 2-out double to right center, driving 2 runs. You know, and that put them ahead. And I think what was even more important, not only do they go ahead and answer the White Sox, but then Porcello comes out the following inning and boom, shuts them down.
Breaking ball swung on and missed. That's the only hit for Jackson today, but it was indeed a big one. He has them loaded. And that was an inning that really got away from Sale. He retired the first 2 batters, the number 8 hitter and the number 9 hitter. Both had base hits in front of the Jackson 2-run double.
Yeah, and then Sale just leaves that slider over the heart of the plate. Jackson does a nice job of driving it.
Much has been made here in Detroit about, you know, Jackson no longer the big high leg kick. Pretty much just picks up his toe and puts it right back down on the field. And I tell you what, the difference between this guy and last year, I'm not so sure there's a more improved player in either league this season so far than Austin Jackson.
I'm going to do you one here. Your guy in Pittsburgh right now, Andrew McCutcheon.
Oh, well, I mean, right now he's the best player in the National League.
I mean, you talk about improvement. I mean, it's always been there. But you're right. I mean, this guy, last year, Jim Leland, he'd struggle putting him in the lineup in the playoffs. There were real questions about Austin Jackson. But he's made it real easy for his manager this year, putting him at the top of the lineup, getting on base, driving in runs, having good at bats. Still strikes out probably more than Jim Leland would like, but he does so many other things well.
Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-2 pitch. Bounce foul. Austin Jackson, born and raised in Denton, Texas, trying to add to the key 2-out hits for the Tigers, and he'll do it. Their last 11 runs have come with 2 outs. Jackson knocks in 4 today.
Well, Jackson started it today, and he sealed it just now. And this ball down in the zone, but you see Jackson's head on it. Throws his hands to the ball. Serves it out to left field. We talked about getting 4 RBIs from your leadoff hitter. 4 RBIs from anybody not named Fielder, and Cabrera is outstanding.
That makes it a 7-1 game. 7 unanswered runs for the home team. Bouncer down to third, and that's that. So the Tigers tack on 2 more. 3 outs away from going into first behind Rick Porcello. Do something he has never done in his very young major league career, and that's finish what he started. A 7-1 lead for this 23-year-old right-hander. He'll face 9, 1, and 2 in the White Sox batting order: Beckham, De Aza, and Youkilis. Last pitch, his 90th pitch of the afternoon, so no sweat. And there's a tapper into left field that finds a hole. Leadoff man aboard. Now it's time for the Burger King Smooth Player of the game. Porcello has dominated the White Sox over now 5 outings. Over the last 2 years, 3 of them this season where he's allowed 1 run. De Aza hitless in 3 at-bats. And what a job he's done on the top of the batting order. De Aza, Youkilis, Dunn. They combined 0 for 9 in the game today.
Well, and if you're the White Sox right now, obviously you didn't want to come in here and lose the first 2. But again, you're tied in the loss column. You lose today. You see Benoit out there.
Well, now there's a base hit into right field. Now, granted, you have a 6-run lead here. But how long is Jim Leland? How much rope is there for Porcello to get that first career complete game? That's it. Well, they gave him a chance. Well, the crowd will stand and cheer. And why not? Porcello has pitched a beauty today. innings. Allows just 5 hits. 2 of them come consecutively to begin the 9th inning. Didn't walk a batter all day. And he will give way to the hard-throwing right-hander, setup man in this Tiger bullpen, Joaquin Benoit. There's Benoit and Kevin Youkilis saw one another on more than 1 or 2 occasions. Benoit pitched in Tampa Bay, Youkilis with Boston. Strike 1.
Yeah, Benoit has been very successful this year. Hitters only hit .219 against him. He's really anchored this bullpen, turned the ball over to Valverde in the 9th. It's been great.
Now, Benoit has been a little more susceptible for whatever reason in giving up the home run ball. Just here of late, he only gave up 1 home run his first 35 outings. He has allowed 6 of them since, but ahead of Youkilis at 0-2.
Yeah, starts Youkilis off with 2 breaking balls. Be surprised if he does anything other than throw another one out of the zone here.
Youkilis only 1 out of 10 against Benoit. His 1 hit, a home run. One and 2. Adam Dunn waiting. First 2 aboard here in the top of the 9th inning. How big are those runs right now? Detroit scored in the bottom of the 8th against Dylan Axelrod. Talked about being within slam range. Before that, Austin Jackson 2-run single. Double play ball here. There's 1. They got it.
Well, we've made mention of this Detroit infield numerous times today, but they've done nothing for us to think that they cannot go out and do the job. I mean, they've turned double plays, they've made nice plays in the hole. Everything they've got their hands on, they've been able to record it out.
Including one spectacular play made by Peralta. Of course, I was giving all the credit to Alexi Ramirez.
Well, he was watching, though, Tommy.
And marveled, no doubt. Here's Adam Dunn. Strike 1. So here it is, big weekend series in Detroit. Sellout crowds at Comerica Park, knowing the White Sox came in as division leaders. When they teed them up last night, a 1.5 spread. Justin Verlander pitching the Tigers to within a half game. And then the Jekyll and Hyde, Ricky Porcello, gets the ball today against a White Sox ace, Chris Sale. And Porcello's spectacular in 8+ innings. One and 2. White Sox in danger of losing 4 in a row for the first time since the final week of April.
Well, again, they'll be tied in the loss column, down a half a game, but they win tomorrow's game. They go back home, still in first place. Two on Adam Dunn.
first time since April the 26th, the Detroit Tigers sit atop the American League Central Division. Rick Porcello, 8+ innings of one-run baseball. Benoit, a perfect inning out of the bullpen with a strikeout. Tigers have won the first 2 games, 7-1, the final today. So for Eric Karros and our entire crew from Detroit, we'll look forward to seeing you next weekend. On the other side of this timeout, Matt Vasgersian and Eric Burns standing by from the MLB Network studios. Have a great weekend, everybody.